Okay, here goes. No small talk, no soft landing. I'm Erin, 35, single, living in Portland, Maine, and last month my own family locked me out of the beach house I paid for because apparently I was ruining my little sister's vibe. It started as a gift. Something quiet and simple to say, I still care, even though I was tired of holding this family together with duct tape and bank transfers. My parents had always talked about spending their anniversary on the coast. Some big dream from when they were broke newlyweds with a rusty Jeep and zero plans beyond tomorrow. I remembered them telling that story when I was 7, sitting on the back steps eating popsicles while they laughed about how the beach house they stayed in had holes in the screen doors and a view of the rocks, not the water. So this summer, I made it happen. Quietly. No grand announcements. I spent months researching places on Bar Harbor, booked a stunning oceanfront rental, paid the deposit, coordinated the whole damn thing around my parents' work schedules, my sister Samantha's drama, and even gave up a huge project at work so I could take time off. I thought maybe for once they'd see me. Not the backup plan. Not the safety net. Just me. But then Samantha got engaged. To Ben, who is fine, I guess. Not the point. The point is, 2 weeks before the trip, she calls me and says, "Hey, what if we made this like a combo trip? You know, Mom and Dad's anniversary and my bachelorette? The girls have never been to Maine." The girls, meaning 5 women I barely know, most of whom have posted more Instagram reels than they've worked actual jobs. I paused. I really did. I could feel my throat tighten, my pulse hammering. But I said the only thing I've ever said in this family. Sure, if that's what you want. I rebooked the dinner reservation to accommodate 8 instead of 4. I ordered extra kayaks for the bay tour. I upgraded the wine selection for the private chef dinner. I added extra pillows, towels, snacks. All the invisible work that no one sees but everyone expects. And then I just waited for the gratitude that never came. Day 1 of the trip. I got up early, walked into town to grab bagels and cold brew for everyone. The air was salty and cool, the sky just clearing from the morning fog. I felt good. Like maybe, finally, this was the moment we'd laugh about years later. But when I got back to the house, the code I set on the keypad didn't work. I tried it again. And again. Until my phone buzzed with a text from Samantha. "Hey, so, the girls kinda wanted a chill morning without family energy. Can you give us a few hours? Go explore or something. I'll text when we're done." Family energy. I stood there with a bag of sesame bagels going cold and a cardboard tray of lattes bleeding through my fingers. I called Mom. She didn't pick up. A minute later, a text popped up from her instead. "Sweetheart, let Sam have her moment. You're so independent. Enjoy some alone time, okay?" Independent. Like it was a compliment. Like it wasn't the thing that kept me outside the door of my own generosity. I sat on the porch for an hour, listening to the laughter and music drifting out from the back deck. No one checked if I was coming in. No one offered a chair. When I finally stood up, my legs stiff and numb, I saw Samantha's Instagram story pop up. A boomerang of champagne glasses clinking. The caption, "Best weekend ever with my favorite people." And just like that, I realized I wasn't their sister on this trip. I was their sponsor, their Airbnb account holder, their background character. I should have left right then, but I didn't. Instead, I put the bagels down on the steps like some sad offering and started walking toward town. What I didn't know, what no one told me until later, was that Samantha's best friend Kelsey had already told the bartender at the Driftwood Inn that this house was Samantha's place, a family tradition, and her sister was just tagging along. The words hit different when you find out you were never invited to your own gift. And that's when the story really started to crack open. Because that afternoon, while I was sitting by myself at a weather-worn cafe drinking a coffee I didn't want, something inside me finally snapped. But not in the way they expected. I didn't fight. I made a decision. And when I made that call, it changed everything. I wish I could tell you I stormed back to that beach house, kicked down the door, and reclaimed my spot at the table. But the truth is, I just sat there. On a crooked bench outside this tiny coffee shop called Tide and Time, watching seagulls rip into a leftover lobster roll someone tossed near the trash. I was 35 years old, watching birds eat better than me on the vacation I paid for. It wasn't the money. I can replace money. It was the hollow space where my family should have been, and the realization that no one inside that house even noticed I was gone. An hour passed, maybe 2. I couldn't make myself walk back. My phone buzzed a few times. A Venmo request from Samantha for champagne plus party favors. No explanation, just assumption. I stared at it until the screen dimmed. That's when the bartender sat down next to me. Gray beard, Red Sox cap, smelled like cedar and salt air. His name was Mike. I hadn't said a word to anyone all day, but he looked at me and said, almost gently, "Rough crowd, huh?" I let out this laugh that wasn't really a laugh, more like a sigh I couldn't hold in anymore. And before I knew it, I was telling a stranger about how my family forgot to leave me a key to my own vacation. He listened, didn't offer advice, just listened. Then he said, "You know, your sister told me this place was hers. Said her big sister tagged along last minute. Bit of a downer, but family's family, right?" I think my heart stopped for a second. She said what? He nodded, sipping his coffee like it wasn't the most devastating sentence I'd ever heard. Told the whole bar last night. Said she booked the house to give your parents the perfect anniversary/bachelorette weekend. And just like that, everything I'd been holding together cracked. It wasn't just a bad weekend. It was theft. Of my effort, my time, my name. She rewrote the whole story and erased me from it. I could have confronted her. I could have marched up that winding driveway, thrown open the doors, and called her out in front of everyone. But suddenly, I didn't want the fight. I wanted freedom. So I did the one thing no one in my family ever expects from me. I left. I booked a last-minute cabin inland, about 30 minutes away, tucked in the woods near a quiet harbor town called Blue Hill. 1 bedroom, no Wi-Fi, just enough cell service to cancel my PTO request for the rest of the week. Before I turned off my phone, I sent one last text to Samantha. 6 words. Enjoy your dream vacation. On me. And I shut it off. The first night alone was weirdly peaceful. I made cheap pasta on the stovetop, read a paperback I bought from the gas station, and for the first time in years, I fell asleep without a single unread work email or family group chat buzzing in my ear. But peace doesn't erase betrayal. The next morning, I drove into town for coffee. And what do I see plastered across Instagram? A photo of my parents, Samantha, and all her friends on the back deck of the beach house. Holding up a giant wooden sign that said, "The Mitchell Family Beach House established ice on a sibsum." My last name. My money. My booking. Their house. The caption read, "When your little sister makes your parents' dream come true. Family first, always." No mention of me. Not a tag. Not a hint. That was the moment I stopped wondering if they forgot me. They didn't. They erased me on purpose. And while I was still standing in that coffee shop parking lot, staring at my phone, the final twist came in. An email from the rental company. "Dear Erin, hope you're enjoying your stay. Just confirming the additional guest fees have been applied to your card as the property occupancy has exceeded your original booking. Thank you. I wasn't even there, but I was still paying." That's when the numbness melted away and something colder took its place. They weren't just inconsiderate. They were comfortable. Comfortable using me, lying about me, and charging it all to my tab. And right then, holding my rapidly cooling coffee, I made a decision I should have made years ago. I wasn't going back to that house. But they were going to feel the door slam shut. I didn't sleep much that night. Even in the quiet of the woods, with the crickets and the hum of wind through pine needles, my head wouldn't shut up. I kept replaying it. The photo, the sign, the caption. "When your little sister makes your parents' dream come true." Like I'd never existed at all. The next morning, I did what I'd been avoiding for years. I opened my laptop and pulled up my bank statements, my credit cards, my Venmo history. Line after line of transactions labeled family trip, Sam's books, dad's meds, mom's new tires. Every single line was a quiet apology I'd made for them without them ever asking me to. And I realized something disgusting. They never even asked. They just expected. I didn't cry. Not yet. I got angry first. By noon, I'd drafted 3 emails. First to the vacation rental company, cancel the remaining nights, remove my card on file, and confirm that no additional fees would be charged. I didn't care if they had to pack up and leave mid-mimosa. Second to my parents. Short and sharp. The house was a gift, not a transfer of ownership. You'll need to make other arrangements. And third to Samantha. Hers was the hardest to write. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because part of me still wanted her to care. Just a little. Sam, you lied to them. You lied to me. I hope the pictures were worth it. You have until 5 p.m. to leave the property or I'll involve the police. Enjoy your bachelorette. I hit send, closed my laptop, sat there staring at the cabin wall until the shadows shifted and the light turned gold. My phone stayed silent. Until 4:58. That's when my dad called. And for the first time in months, I let it ring through. At 5:07, a text from Mom. We're disappointed in how you handled this. Family should come first. Family. I laughed, bitter and tired. But then, just as I was about to turn off my phone again, a new text came in. From an unknown number. It was a screenshot of a rental confirmation. For next month. The same beach house. Booked under Samantha's fiancé's name. Paid in full. And in the guest notes? Returning for annual family retreat. Hostile sibling will not be present this time. That one sentence hit harder than all the rest combined. They weren't just using me. They were replacing me. I sat there for a long time, staring at that screen, feeling the ground shift under me. They'd planned to cut me out permanently. Smile for the photos, wear my last name like a badge, and erase the only person who made any of it possible. And the worst part? They didn't even think I'd notice. Or care. That was the last time I let their comfort cost me my peace. So I made one more decision that night. The beach house was in my name. The next morning, I called the rental company. I didn't cancel the future booking. I changed the locks. And scheduled a maintenance visit. For the exact weekend of Samantha's wedding. They weren't coming back. Not to that house. Not ever. And the part that still makes me smile? I didn't tell them. I let them show up, luggage in hand, smiles rehearsed, ready for another weekend on my dime. Only to find the code changed, the keys gone, and a brand new family living inside. A family I didn't know who paid their own bills and didn't owe them a damn thing. That weekend, I sat on the rocks 2 towns over, eating takeout Thai food with the ocean at my feet. And for the first time, I didn't feel like the outsider in my own story. I felt free. But the fallout hadn't even started yet. Because what happened after? That's when they showed their true faces. And I showed them mine. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but honestly, mine tasted like peace. I didn't watch them find the new locks. I didn't sit there refreshing my phone for angry texts. I was too busy watching the sunset off Blue Hill Pier, eating pad thai out of a cardboard box, wondering how it took me 35 years to put myself first. But peace doesn't last when your family thinks they own you. It started the next morning. 37 missed calls. Samantha, Mom, Dad, even Ben. Voicemails stacked up like bricks. What the hell, Aaron? This is cruel. Your father's heart can't take this. My personal favorite. You've ruined the happiest weekend of our lives. I didn't answer. I didn't owe them my peace of mind anymore. Instead, I drafted an email. Calm, professional, detached. Like they were just another bad client. I laid out every cost I'd covered in the last 5 years. The cars, the school loans, the rent when Dad lost his job, the medical bills, the emergencies that somehow always coincided with Samantha's vacations. And at the bottom, one simple line. Effective immediately, financial support has ended. Your next chapter is your responsibility, not mine. I hit send. And for the first time, silence was exactly what I wanted. But of course, they didn't let it stay silent. That afternoon, my mom showed up at my apartment. I only knew because my downstairs neighbor texted me, "There's a woman banging on your door screaming about betrayal. Should I call someone?" I didn't open the door. I sat on the couch, legs tucked under me, sipping tea like the world wasn't falling apart in my hallway. The banging stopped eventually. A few hours later, I got a new email from a law firm I'd never heard of. Subject line, "Intent to claim familial ownership interest." I stared at it for a solid minute, pulse steady but sharp. Inside was a scanned letter, drafted like something out of a bad courtroom drama. They were claiming that because they'd contributed emotionally and physically to the family home over the years, they were entitled to shared ownership of my apartment. The apartment I bought. The apartment I paid every mortgage on. The apartment I never invited them to live in, but let them stay in during tough times, because I thought that's what family did. They were suing me for my own life. I forwarded it to my lawyer, Nick, who I hadn't called since the great HOA debacle of 2021. He called me 10 minutes later. "Erin, there's nothing here. It's fluff. No legal standing. But it shows you exactly who they are now." And it hit me in a way nothing else had. They weren't confused. They weren't hurt. They were retaliating. Because I said no. Because I stopped playing the part. That night, I sat by my window, watching the lights of the city blink through the fog, and for the first time, the anger didn't swallow me. It sharpened me. I spent the next week closing every open door, removed them from my emergency contacts, canceled the joint credit card Dad used to pay gas, revoked Samantha's access to my Netflix, changed my will, filed a formal cease and desist on any future legal threats. And just when I thought it was done, when I thought I'd finally reclaimed the quiet, I got a message from Ben, Samantha's fiancé. It was 3 a.m., and it wasn't what I expected. "Hey, I don't know how to say this, but you should know. Sam and your mom, they were planning to sell the beach house listing as an investment property. They already found a buyer. Thought you wouldn't notice before the wedding." I felt the room tilt under me. Sell. Sell the house I rented. That wasn't even mine, but in their minds had somehow become theirs to profit from. This wasn't just betrayal. This was theft. And they were planning to do it smiling, arm in arm while posting family hashtags like nothing happened. That's when I knew. The beach house wasn't the end of this story. It was just the opening chapter. And the next move? It was mine to make. I didn't sleep after Ben's message. I sat in my kitchen, lights off, just the hum of the fridge and my mind racing. They weren't just cutting me out. They were selling the life I built and smiling while they signed the papers. But here's the thing they forgot. The lease on that beach house? It was temporary. But the contract with the rental agency, the listing rights, the tax records, they were all in my name. Every booking, every payment, every liability. I owned the contract. They couldn't sell what they never had. The next morning, I called the rental company. Calm, professional. I explained the situation in simple terms. Unauthorized attempts to transfer rights, fraud by misrepresentation, and identity abuse. The manager, a woman named Holly, paused for a long second and said quietly, "Would you like me to flag the property and contact legal?" I exhaled, slow and steady. "Yes, please do." Then I filed my own claim. Fraudulent attempt to profit off my contractual rights. I attached screenshots, the text from Ben, the photos of the fake family retreat. I sent it to their attorney, the same one who sent me that ridiculous shared ownership letter. No threats, no drama, just facts. 2 days later, I got the call. The sale was dead, and the agency blacklisted Samantha and my mother from ever renting or listing through them again. But that wasn't even the best part. The news somehow leaked into their community. A neighbor posted a congrats message on Facebook, tagging Samantha's fiancé with a photo of the for sale sign that never existed. Someone asked what happened. Ben, apparently fed up, told the truth. Publicly. About how Samantha lied about owning the property, about how she used family money to fund a fake legacy, about how the house wasn't hers to sell. I didn't comment. I didn't need to. The comments section did it for me. Family friends unfollowed. The church committee Mom bragged to stopped inviting her to lead events. Even Dad, who spent most of his life in silence, finally broke it, sending me a quiet message. I didn't know how deep it went. I should have. I stared at his words for a long time, but I didn't reply. Some silences don't need filling. A week later, Samantha called. I almost didn't answer, but something in me wanted to hear it. Just once. She didn't say sorry. She said, "I hope you're happy." And for the first time in my life, I could answer honestly. I am. Then I hung up. No big showdown. No screaming match. Just the quiet click of a door I finally locked from my side. The beach house? I canceled the contract at the end of the season. Let it go. Some things aren't worth holding on to just to prove you had them first. I moved into a smaller place near the harbor. No shared leases, no spare guest rooms, no keys floating in someone else's pocket. And last weekend, I went back to Blue Hill. Sat on the pier with a cup of coffee and watched the tide roll in. For the first time, it didn't feel like running away. It felt like coming home. And if you're wondering, no, I don't regret a single dollar I spent on them. But I regret waiting so long to spend something on myself. I guess what I learned is this. Some families will love you best when you're useful. And the day you stop being useful, you find out who actually sees you. And maybe that hurts less than it used to. If you've been through something like this, if you've ever been the quiet one holding it all together until the day you let go, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Sometimes sharing it makes it feel a little less heavy. And if these stories feel like yours too, maybe stick around. I've got more to tell.